So, Ride Home Review, Deep Cinema Edition. Deep Cinema Ride Home Review Edition. I'm sorry. Theron and Nyesha here. We just saw, by the way, this is technically the second episode, conceptual, that we did of this. We did A Quiet Place, but it didn't work out. There's had some technical difficulties. So, but anyway, this is the first one you're hearing. So the quick rundown is that we are coming from the theater, and in that talk, that initial first talk after we see a movie, we're going to just give our initial review in about the time it takes to drive from the theater to get home. So we just saw Traffik.
I saw most of Traffik.
Oh, we won't get into that. We saw Traffik with Paula Patton.
Yeah.
And Omar Epps.
And Laz Alonso and Rosalind Sanchez.
Okay. I was gonna go there, but
you know, I love me some Laz, so I had to make sure I mentioned him.
You know what? I didn't even recognize that was him. I thought that was him, but for I don't know, something about he lost weight, maybe something. But anyway,
that porn stash and the S curl wasn't helping either.
Anyway, so Traffik is a thriller that's been, I've seen some trailers over the past month or so. Thought it looked decent. We said, okay, we'll just go and check this out. And my first thoughts is that it was pretty surprising. I don't know if my expectations were really that high. I haven't read any reviews or talked to anybody else about the movie, but I guess you can say I was neutral going in, but coming out, I was kind of surprised. It was kind of decent. It was a really decent thriller. I didn't know that it was kind of about the whole sex trafficking thing, and I see where they use this vehicle of a thriller to make a statement about sex trafficking, which is really crazy. Some of those stats that I saw at the end of the film, was it like 1.9 million women in the United States are being sex trafficked? That's just crazy to me. But in any case, it started off just kind of typical, and then at some point it just takes like a left turn, and from that point I thought it could have either went south really quick, but it really didn't. It maintained some level of belief, and it kept the tension throughout for the most part. There was some predictable moments, but I don't have too much to complain. I mean, if there are a lot of things that when we get into spoilers that were just kind of, when you have thrillers or horror movies, there's just going to be some dumb things that happen and characters do, just so you can keep the story going. But a lot of it wasn't, it wasn't like A Quiet Place. There was no sin in this movie that was worse than what happened at the beginning of A Quiet Place. So, so what do you think, babe?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I dozed off at one point in the movie, right towards the end. So I really didn't miss that much. Like I saw.
You really didn't.
Yeah, I saw the majority of it. Going back to what you said about people needing to be stupid for a movie to continue when it's this type of movie, I'm just gonna flat out say Paula Patton was irking my soul and boiling my blood through most of this movie, because she was just doing dumb stuff. But dumb stuff that you normally accuse certain hues of women of doing in movies. She was doing it, and it was irking me worse than usual. And I was just like, this all could have been over with in 5 minutes if you just would have handed over the phone. I feel like they still would have died, because people that are as crazy as the people that were chasing them are not just going to say, okay, thanks for the phone, I'm leaving now. Like, I feel like they still would have done something to them because they wanted to mess with them at the gas station to begin with. So when you're dealing with a level of crazy, as was evident in the people that were the bad guys in this movie, I don't feel like it would have been like, oh, well, she did what they said, so it's over. But it was still annoying to see her just procrastinating and prolonging the whole thing. And then, like, are we getting into spoilers now?
Yeah. Well.
All right. So Omar Epps' character gets murked, shot, killed. Sorry. He gets killed, and she's like taking her sweet time getting the hell out of there after she sees him get killed. And it's like this whole long montage of her discovering the engagement ring and her deciding to put it on and her taking her time getting the keys. It was just like, what are you doing? Like, murderers are chasing you, and you hear, like, I love you, babe, but if you get murdered and murderers are chasing us, I'm not going to be there for, like, a montage.
Well, that was... I was just like... to movie time.
I was like, damn, this is annoying me so bad. I mean, there were multiple moments in the movie where I was just like, girl, I can't. Like, she was wearing me out, like, multiple times in the movie. I mean, even in the beginning when, like, her and Rosalind Sanchez were in the bathroom talking about her, like, pending engagement or whatever, and she was just, like, annoying me then talking about it. It's like, what do you mean? Like, the man is great. You just defended his job choice in front of his raggedy friend. Marry him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just moments where, like, her and that raspy voice was irking me. And I normally love her raspy voice, and she's beautiful, but in this movie, she was not doing it for me. But I will say this also. This movie was a prime example of why Nyesha doesn't do road trips on off-road places or camping or any of that stuff. Because you normally run into some craziness like what happened in this movie when you do that. Like, I try to avoid all situations that'll make me end up in one of these type of movies. So, it was just, you know, it just confirmed me not wanting to do certain things in real life. Because I was like, yeah, of course this happened. But I will also say, and Theron doesn't know this, he's just now finding this out. But, he might know the stats, but Atlanta is, like, number one in the country for sex trafficking of women and young boys, because the airport is the number one airport in the country, and there's a lot of businessmen that come through here. And they were talking about how, like, with all the hotels surrounding downtown, there's like all these secret networks going on that the average person that lives here doesn't know about. So I used to think, oh yeah, right, you know, I used to blow it off like, oh, I don't know about that, until maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and you guys can Google this to find out exactly when it happened. But in Fayetteville, my aunt was living around the corner from a sex trafficking home and didn't even know it. Now, this was in the suburbs of Fayetteville, an unassuming neighborhood, right? You would never think that this was going on in this neighborhood, but this also goes back to, you need to talk to your neighbors more often and kind of keep an eye on them. So my aunt has a friend that was living around the corner. Girl knocks on her door at 3 a.m. during a thunderstorm. Turns out she had just escaped from the house across the street. And she was like, don't make too much noise, because if they find out I got out, they'll come kill us. She calls the cops. The cops come and bust the house. It turns out they had girls in their basement. And the people that used to come visit them, which my aunt and her friend thought was just people visiting them like friends of theirs, was customers. So they had a full-blown sex trafficking thing going on in their neighborhood and had no idea, because it just looked like the neighbors had friends visiting them. So this stuff is real. Like, I mean, you see the stats at the end of the movie was like millions, and it makes $150 billion a year.
150 billion.
Yeah, so this stuff is real, man. So the fact that the movie use the whole thriller concept and suspense concept to bring attention to this going on, I applaud them for that, because it's almost like they tricked you into sitting through this lesson. Like, they made you think you were coming to see a stereotypical thriller action movie, and it turned out to be like very informative.
I thought it was going to be Omar Epps and her up against these redneck bikers. You know?
Right.
That's where I thought it was going. But I don't know, if I had one thing to say about that approach, is that I guess it was realistic that, okay, that he got shot,
Mm-hmm.
and that he died out. But it's like that. I can see that needed to happen to make Paula Patton the savior of the movie,
right?
Because it is ultimately at the end, a woman needed to save the day,
right?
You know what I mean? And it would have been funny if a man. So it's just the fact that I can kind of see through that choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It just. But at the same time, the girl is sitting next to me. She was like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming." So I can kind of let that slide. But in all fairness, this was a competent thriller. I thought some of the cinematography was a little bit too dark for my taste. I mean, just from a technical standpoint. But overall, the acting was very decent. The action was very decent. And for the most part, the suspense was okay. I wouldn't put it up there, with some of the top thrillers. I don't know that I need to watch this again or buy the movie again. But it felt like, okay, us going out to see this on a rainy Sunday. I'm not mad. I'm not really mad at all.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. Like, my complaints in the beginning were literally just the stupid decision making that was going on by Paula Patton's character.
Yeah.
Like, it just really was annoying me because I was like, girl, like, why are you this? I mean, you should care about what's happening to another person and try to save them. But this girl done told you that if you don't hand me this phone, they're going to kill you. And you still trying to have a conversation with her and be like this, savior chick who wants to like take her in and help her call her family. I'm like, she done already told you that's not what this is, and you still dragging it out. And then when the girl gets killed outside, you still standing there talking about you don't want to give them the phone. It was just a little too ridiculous for me. Her defiance in the whole thing, and her trying to be like goody two shoes.
Now let me
savior.
ask you this: do you remember, like in the beginning, when she was talking to her boss at the office, because Paula Patton's character is a journalist.
Yeah.
Was the story that she was trying to tell, was that about sex trafficking?
No, it was a real estate story. Something about corrupt realtors and probably gentrification deals that was going on in the city.
Okay.
And she took too long to write the article, so they gave it to somebody else that was willing to do it faster.
Okay. All right. Because I just thought, all right, that would have been a real coincidence.
I know.
But okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
so, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was a good Sunday movie.
A good Sunday
go watch.
thriller.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I could easily see this on Netflix.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if we had watched that at home, we probably would feel even better about it, right?
I would have still been annoyed, but I would have felt better because less money would have been spent.
But I'm saying, but we're not mad at the money that was.
No, not at all. We didn't pay that much
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's a decent thriller. It really is. It got a little dark. It got a lot darker than I thought it would. There was definitely a twisted sort of element in especially how she got roped in there.
Yeah, I will say I knew that the cop was in on it from the beginning.
Oh yeah, well come on, look at her face.
Yeah. And I love her. I don't remember her name right now, but she used to be on Mad TV and used to play Anna Nicole Smith, and I love her.
Oh yeah, well she
still
hideous.
looks the same though.
Yeah, she's a hideous looking woman.
Yeah.
Nobody. You don't cast somebody that ugly to play a good guy, a good woman,
a good cop. Yeah.
But anyway, and one more quick thing, and I thought something that slipped my mind earlier about the plotting. I almost feel like Paula Patton got kind of fell into this. I'm wondering, would this have been better served? Would the story have been better served if they targeted her? You know what I'm saying? Because she the way the girl came, put the phone in her bag and all that, and then she got involved, and then she wouldn't get the phone, and then she came out, killed the guys, and then and then snatched her because she knew about this was going on, you know what I mean? And she just she happened to fit the profile for a sex ring, you know what I mean?
Well, what happened is the reason the guy shot the girl who came to get the phone is because he saw that the phone had been, he shot her because she didn't get the phone like he told her to.
Yeah.
But then when Alonso came outside with the phone and was like, hey, just give me my girl, he realized that the phone had been opened, and so now they knew his business. Because the way they were trying to set it up is, had he gotten the phone and nobody bothered the phone, then he supposedly would have let them go.
Right.
But because he saw his phone was tampered with, now he got to kill everybody.
But wait a minute. Wasn't he standing right there when they put the password in?
Who?
Last Alonso.
Yeah.
So how the fuck he's surprised that...
No, he wasn't surprised. The bad guy who he brought the phone to was like, well, now I know you lied to me about not knowing anything about this because my phone has been tampered with.
But what I'm saying is, like, okay, so you're saying Laz Alonso didn't know that he would find out that the phone was cracked?
Yeah, he thought I'd just hand you the phone and you'll leave.
Okay, all right.
Because he's a sports agent, so he's thinking he got the gift of gab and he can talk them into just letting them go.
I got that. I just thought that they were trying to say that, you know, he was trying to get the phone, like he knew. I thought they were trying to make it seem like he wasn't standing there when they broke the phone.
No, that's not what they were trying to do.
All right.
He was trying to just put everything on Paula Patton because he was like, hey, she knows where the phone is. I don't want no parts of this.
Right.
And so he was like, let me just take them the phone.
Right.
But then when he was standing there in front of the dude saw that the phone had been tampered with. At that point, he's like, well, I'm killing everybody.
Right.
Like, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, overall, this was a decent thriller, and I would go so far as to say it's a very decent thriller. You know, I don't. There's not much more. I mean, it wasn't great. I didn't love it, but it kept my interest.
It was okay.
You know, had
it wasn't terrible.
Had some decent visual stuff going on. You know.
It was better than I expected just because of the plot twist about the sex trafficking. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
I like when I don't see something coming and it turns out to be good.
And I don't know that they even put that in.
I didn't remember that from the trailer at all.
I saw the trailer maybe once or twice.
I didn't remember that. So,
but
that's why I said I feel like they snuck it in there. Like, we're gonna draw you in here for a thriller.
Actually,
but
I like that.
I like it too. That's why I was like, if a movie starts off one way and turns out another and it's still good,
and it's still good, then
I'm happy.
You win.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's our review, our ride home review. We're just about home. Actually, we're about to go to the store.
Taco Sunday.
Same difference. We're right down the street.
Right.
But that's it, and we'll look out for my review. I'm gonna write this up probably tomorrow. Just look out for the written review, spoiler free, on newflavor.tv. All right, see you later.
Bye, y'all.